A couple of years had passed and life had moved on, or so he thought. Brandon had met a girl, Rachel, who brought life into his shadowed existence. Her laughter was like a balm to his soul, her curiosity a refreshing breeze in his stale, fear-filled world. Yet, the whispers of the game had never truly left him, lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for their moment. One evening, Rachel found an old NES cartridge of Super Mario Bros. 3 in a dusty corner of Brandon's closet. Her eyes lit up with excitement and she popped it into the retro gaming console without a second thought. Brandon's heart skipped a beat, but he said nothing, his mind racing with the horrors that could unfold. But the game played as it should. The music was cheerful, the graphics as charmingly retro as ever. Rachel played for hours, her giggles filling the room, her eyes sparkling with the joy of discovery. Brandon watched her from the sidelines, a tight knot in his stomach slowly unraveling. Perhaps the demonic Mario was a figment of his traumatized imagination, a manifestation of his guilt over Mike's death.
I died horribly, Brandon.
But then came the scream, high-pitched and filled with terror. It pierced the air like a shard of ice. Rachel lay on the floor, the controller still clutched in her lifeless hand, the TV screen flickering with the image of the Mushroom Kingdom. Brandon's heart plummeted, his worst fears realized. The game had found a new player, and it wasn't going to let go without a fight.
Not again,
he murmured, his voice a broken whisper. He knew he had to save Rachel, to prevent the game from claiming another victim. He picked up the controller, his hands shaking as he started the game from the beginning. This time, though, it felt different. The music was peaceful, the colors vibrant, and there were no signs of the corrupted code that had haunted him before. He played through the levels, his eyes darting to Rachel's unmoving form every few moments. Each victory brought him closer to the castle, hope blossoming in his chest like a flower in springtime. But when he reached Bowser's lair and defeated the King of the Koopas, the screen didn't fade to credits. Instead, it warped, the colors swirling into a new, horrifying landscape. The world of Mario's exile unfolded before him, a place that looked like a twisted reflection of his own nightmares. The once friendly faces of the Mushroom Kingdom were now grotesque, their cries for help replaced by taunts and laughter that chilled him to the bone. This was a game within a game, a prison for lost souls, and Rachel was trapped in its digital hell. With a steely resolve, Brandon set out to conquer the 6 hellish levels of this new realm. Each stage was a testament to fear and despair, a gauntlet that pushed him to his limits. But with every pixelated creature he vanquished, every obstacle he overcame, the whispers grew fainter, the grip of the game loosened. The final castle loomed before him, a twisted spire of darkness that pierced the very sky. He knew that inside, his girlfriend waited for him, her soul bound by the demonic force he had unwittingly released into their world. The stakes were higher than ever, and failure was not an option. The music grew louder, the screen flickering with each step he took. The digital world felt more real than ever, the weight of his mission crushing him like an unseen force. He had to save Rachel, to free her from the game's malevolent clutches before it was too late. The castle walls pulsed with malevolent energy, the very air thick with the stench of corrupted code. Brandon took a deep breath and stepped through the gates, ready to face the horrors that awaited him within. The game had started as a simple escape from reality, but now it had become his reality, a prison that could only be unlocked by his own hand. He ventured deeper, the game's world morphing around him, each room a puzzle that tested his sanity. The whispers grew louder, the game's power feeding on his fear and doubt. But Brandon pushed forward, driven by his love for Rachel and his need for vengeance. The castle walls closed in, the air thick with the digital stench of corruption. The final chamber lay before him, a chamber of horrors that made his stomach lurch. On pikes, a gruesome display of heads impaled, taunting him with the faces of those the game had claimed. His eyes fell upon Mike's lifeless gaze, frozen forever in terror.
I died scared and alone, Brandon.
The room spun, and he had to clench his fists to keep from falling to his knees. Rage boiled within him, a fiery resolve that drowned out his fear. In the center of the room, a cage, suspended from the ceiling, held Rachel captive. Her eyes widened with hope when she saw him, her voice barely a whisper. "Brandon, is that you?"
I'm here,
he said, his voice hoarse with emotion.
I'll get you out.
The demonic Mario lounged on a throne made of twisted circuit boards, his once friendly visage now a grotesque mockery of its former self.
So eager to savor your little damsel,
He cackled.
but you're forgetting, this is my world now.
Brandon's eyes never left Rachel as he stepped into the room, his hand tight on the plunger of a bomb he had picked up along the way.
You really think it's going to be that easy?
Mario jeered. With a fierce roar, Brandon hurled the explosive at the creature. The bomb struck the throne, and the explosion lighting up the room in a blinding flash of white. The digital demon roared, but when the dust settled, it remained unscathed, its laughter echoing through the chamber.
You a fool!
Mario sneered, rising to his feet.
You can't harm me here, but I'll give you one a chance to save her. Beat me one final time and I'll release her soul.
The challenge was clear, the stakes never higher. Brandon steeled himself, ready to face the game's ultimate boss fight. Rachel's eyes searched his, a silent plea for rescue. The digital world around them grew darker, the air thick with anticipation. The battle was brutal, a dance of pixels and fire. Brandon's heart pounded with each blow he landed, his movements precise and driven by pure instinct. He dodged fireballs and leapt over pits of lava, the game pushing him to his limits. Rachel's cage swung dangerously with each explosion, a constant reminder of what was at stake. As he dealt the final blow, the demonic Mario let out a wail that seemed to shake the very foundation of reality. The room trembled, the cage broke apart, and Rachel fell into his arms. The game world around them began to disintegrate, the colors fading to a cold, digital void. They clung to each other, tears mixing with the digital ash that rained down from the collapsing ceiling. Rachel was free, but the game was far from over. The whispers grew louder, the power of the cartridge surging as it sought new prey. Brandon knew that he had to destroy the cartridge to end the game's grip on their world. But as he looked into Rachel's eyes, he realized that the battle was far from won. The game had claimed Mike, and it would not rest until it had claimed him too. The digital world collapsed around them, the apartment reasserting itself. Rachel looked at him with a mix of fear and hope.
What now?
She whispered. He held her close, the weight of his decision heavy on his shoulders.
We'll find a way,
He said, determination in his voice.
We're going to end this together.
The game was defeated, but the war was just beginning. They stepped out of the apartment into the hallway, the digital whispers still echoing in their minds. Rachel leaned into Brandon's embrace, her heart racing with fear and relief. They had survived, but the nightmare wasn't over. The game waited, biding its time, ready to claim them both if they weren't careful. They descended the stairs, the cacophony of digital screams fading into the distance. Rachel's words echoed in Brandon's mind as he clutched the broken shards of the cartridge, the plastic warm from his fiery rage. He had destroyed the game, but the thought of others falling prey to such horrors was unbearable. The night was cool, the moon casting a silver glow upon the quiet streets. Rachel's eyes searched his, understanding the burden he now carried.
We can't let this happen to anyone else,
She said, her voice firm. "We have to find the other cursed games and destroy them too." Brandon nodded, the gravity of their mission settling in. They couldn't just live their lives, knowing that somewhere out there, other innocents were being consumed by the digital abyss. They had to act. They started researching, digging through forgotten forums and obscure websites that spoke of games with similar dark reputations. Rachel's empathy grew into a fierce resolve as they pieced together the scattered reports of missing gamers and bizarre occurrences tied to certain cartridges. The more they learned, the more they realized that they were not the only ones who had encountered the game's dark secrets. Armed with this newfound knowledge, they embarked on a quest to rid the world of the cursed games. Garage sales, flea markets, and dusty old game stores became their battlegrounds. They searched tirelessly, their eyes peeled for any sign of the telltale corruption. The slightly off-colored label, the eerie stillness of a game left untouched for too long. Each cartridge they found, they destroyed with a sense of grim satisfaction, the digital whispers silenced with a crackle and hiss of electrical death. But with each victory, the whispers grew stronger, more insistent, as if the game itself was aware of their crusade. Brandon could feel it, a shadowy presence that watched and waited, biding its time. One fateful evening, they stumbled upon a hidden store, its neon sign flickering ominously in the alley. The air was thick with the scent of decaying electronics, and the shelves groaned under the weight of forgotten games. Rachel's eyes widened as she spotted a row of unmarked cartridges, their surfaces pulsating with an unsettling glow. "Jackpot," she murmured, a mix of excitement and fear in her voice. Brandon felt his heart quicken, his hand tightening around the hammer in his pocket. They had found the source, the breeding ground for these digital abominations. It was time to strike a blow that would resonate through the game world itself. The store owner, a hunched figure with a crazed glint in his eye, watched them from the shadows. "You're not like the others," he croaked, his voice a digitized rasp. You see the truth." They didn't wait for an explanation, their mission clear. They grabbed the cursed cartridges, their hearts racing as they smashed each one into oblivion. The room grew cold, the whispers grew louder, and the air grew thick with the stench of burning plastic and malevolent energy. As the last cartridge shattered, the world around them warped and contorted. The walls buckled, and the floor gave way to a bottomless pit of swirling pixels. Rachel clung to Brandon, her eyes wide with terror, but he remained steadfast.
"We're not done yet,"
he said, his voice strong and determined.
"We'll end this."
Together, they stepped into the digital abyss, ready to face the game's ultimate form and free the trapped souls within. The whispers grew into a deafening roar, the colors of the game world swirling around them like a maelstrom. The battle was on, and there would be no turning back. Their journey had only just begun, a quest to conquer the darkness that lurked within the pixels of their childhood memories. The fate of the trapped souls rested on their shoulders, a burden they bore with grim determination. They would fight the game, destroy its hold on the real world, and ensure no one else would suffer the fate of Mike and the others.
We're all counting on you, buddy.
Uncle Magnetti, I want to be you. Uncle Magnetti, I'm watching you. Inside your mind I twist and turn. Feed on your fear, watch it burn.